From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa in our one word. Today is Wednesday, December 17, 2025, and I'm Sherman Deere presenting. In the headlines, no petition read, Solidarity and Trust for a New Day ends much publicized lead or leave protest amidst tight security measures and no access to executive mansion. Lead organizer Moba Molu yet to release statement. President of Liberia denounces self-styled Liberia Broadcasters Association organized Liberia Broadcast Awards, describes the group as illegitimate media body. And also in the news tonight, President Joseph Boakai suspends National Commission on Disability Executive Director Samuel Den and Winifred Pay for mismanagement of commission funds. Away from home, South Africa has accused the U.S. of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing applications by white South Africans for refugee status. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Vienna, a move that Caracas has denounced as world-mongering threats. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news that are packaged. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture with John Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
The much publicized December 17 lead or leave protest ended with a dramatic scene after state security officers prevented demonstrators from accessing the grounds of the executive mansion to present their petition. The citizens gathering, which began at the residence of lead organizer Molba Molo, brought together Liberians from all walks of life to petition the Boakai administration over what the organizers described as poor governance, injustice, and widespread corruption. The protesters, who were barred from chanting anti-corruption slogans, arrived with cooking utensils and food supplies at the protest ground. Speaking to reporters, they noted that they will remain at the executive mansion grounds cooking and spending the night there if President Boakai refuses to receive their petition. However, the demonstrators' attempt to present their petition at the executive mansion was met with strong resistance from state security officers, preventing the protesters from reading their petition. Meanwhile, state security officers later fired tear gas to disperse the crowd and arrested several participants, citing breach of public peace and security. Speaking to reporters following the police action, State Chairman Molba Molu condemned the conduct of state security forces, describing it as a counter-democratic. He alleged that the police action was carried out on direct instruction of President Boakai through Inspector General Gregory Coleman, claiming it was intended to downplay the suffering and injustice faced by many Liberians. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day is yet to release an official statement regarding the incident up to press time. The Press Union of Liberia has distanced itself from Liberia Broadcast Media Awards organized by a group calling itself Liberia Broadcasters Association. The Press Union of Liberia, in a statement issued Wednesday, noted that the organizers lacked the mandate and legitimacy to confer awards upon broadcast journalists and media institutions in Liberia. According to the union, the authority to recognize excellence in journalism and media rests exclusively with the Press Union of Liberia, noting as Liberia's legitimate, independent, and credible representative body of journalists and media institutions, the union alone has the authority and institutional framework to evaluate and honor outstanding achievements. The Press Union of Liberia at the same time expressed concern over the attempt by the self-styled Liberia Broadcasters Association, a group neither recognized nor accredited as an auxiliary of the union, to stage an award event outside the union's established annual award ceremony. In furtherance, the Press Union of Liberia sharply condemned the organizers, led by Ricky Jiplo, for introducing a pay voting scheme via TipMe platform, which effectively commercializes the awards process. President Joseph Walker has suspended heads of the National Commission on Disability for mismanagement allegations. A release issued by the Executive Mansion disclosed that Sam Dean and Deputy Executive Director Winifred P. have been temporarily suspended from their respective positions pending the conclusion of an audit into allegations of mismanagement. Recently, several members of the commission held protests and accused Sam Dean of corruption and suppression and called for his immediate removal. According to the Executive Mansion, the two NCD heads were suspended following recommendations submitted by a special investigative committee. The release added that to ensure continuity in the administration and operations of the commission, President Walker appointed Apostle J. Aaron Wright as acting executive director and Emery Jesse acting deputy executive director. The Ministry of Public Works has launched its 5-year strategic plan aimed at enhancing the construction of paved roads throughout the country. Speaking at the launching ceremony in Monrovia Tuesday, Minister Roland Gayding said about 485 kilometers of roads are expected to be constructed over the next 5 years. According to him, the ministry has completed the construction of 7 kilometers already, just under few months. The Public Works Minister commended the employees of the ministry for the level of cooperation thus far and urged them to work more in order to connect the roads. President Walker has approved the retirement of Brigadier General Amos Dixon Sr. It follows a recommendation submitted by the late Chief Justice Shannon Yo. Brigadier General Dixon has rendered 38 years of service to the government through the Honorable Supreme Court. The President expressed appreciation for his years of service and steadfast commitment to national duty. The Executive Director of the National Commission on Higher Education has described research as the best way in resolving many challenges facing the country. Dr. Cecilia Cassell noted that the third world countries are succeeding in overcoming most of the challenges based on research. The Executive Director of the Commission praised the Minister of Education, Jaso Jala, for encouraging the Tuskegee University to reach a memorandum of understanding with 3 institutions in Liberia. Dr. Cassell also commended the management team at Tuskegee University and encouraged them to include the exchange of faculty and including research as time goes on. She made the comments during the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Tuskegee University, based in the United States, and the Ministry of Education, Agriculture, and the National Identification Registry has developed what it calls 5-year strategic plan aimed at providing a clear vision in building a modern, secure, and interoperable and citizen-centered national identification system. Andrew Peters, Executive Director of the registry, said the strategic plan articulates the pillars and objectives focused on universal coverage, digital identification, modernization, governance, and institutional capacity, strengthening sustainable financing and partnerships. According to him, the plan places citizens at the center, assuring inclusion, data protection, piracy, and trust as the core principles guiding all interventions.
Simon Juice with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories we following tonight: no petition read, solidarity and trust for a new day, and much publicized lead or leave protest amidst tight security measures and no access to executive mansion. Lead organizer Moba Molu yet to release statement. President of Liberia denounces self-styled Liberia Broadcasters Association organized Liberia Broadcast Awards, described the group as illegitimate media body. In us in the news tonight, President Joseph Boakai suspends National Commission on Disability Executive Director Samuel Den and Winifred P. as for mismanagement of the commission funds. Away from home, South Africa has accused the U.S. of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing applications by white South Africans for refugee status. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The much publicized December 17 lead or leave protest ended with a dramatic scene after state security officers prevented demonstrators from accessing the grounds of the executive mansion to present their petition. The citizens' gathering, which began at the residence of the lead organizer Moba Molu, brought together Liberians from all walks of life to petition the Boakakon administration over what organizers described as poor governance, injustice, and widespread corruption. Protesters who were heard chanting anti corruption slogans arrived with cooking utensils and food supplies at the protest ground. Speaking of reporters, they noted that they will remain at the executive mansion grounds cooking and spending the night if President Joseph Boakai declared that declined to receive the petition. We'll bring you that except in a subsequent newscast. The Ministry of Public Works has officially launched its 5-year strategic plan aimed at enhancing the construction of paved roads throughout the country. Speaking at the launching ceremony in Monrovia, Minister Roland Guinness said about 485 kilometers of roads are expected to be constructed over the next 5 years.
We set out to do 485 kilometers of paved road over the next 5 years, but I can see us doing 700 kilometers already. And so that's the raw aggression element I'm talking about. And I'd like to take this time also to say thanks to my team. We have a wonderful team here at the Ministry of Public Works. We have a wonderful group of partners that we work with. And we're going to continue to build the partnership. As we reignited our donor meetings, we want to talk to some of the donors that are here to please engage. Those meetings are very critical because we're able to exchange, look at the plans that we're executing, look at your plans and see how that can align with the overall AAID. As has been stated over the years, the Liberia's problem to economic growth is because of two major constraints. And those constraints are the lack of energy, sustainable energy, and also access in terms of road network. The government has prioritized these two sectors as key for investment, and that is why the focus is on roads and energy. Here at the Ministry of Public Works, we collaborate with the Liberia Electricity Corporation on all their projects. And so whatever support we can give them to create the access to where they may be investing to enhance energy productivity. Vice versa, they also do similar with the Ministry of Public Works to ensure that we're able to create the kind of assets that are required for economic growth and development. We've identified major growth corridors, and those growth corridors are now being developed. And those corridors are the corridor that runs into central Liberia, runs into northern Liberia to Lofa, runs to Denmark, runs to the southeast, the coastal highway, the corridor that runs now to Gowater South, which we will be starting under a PPP arrangement. Good to know that the government adopted a PPP policy. Now we have a PPP policy which was adopted by cabinet to ensure that the investment in our road sector is not limited only to what we do our multilateral partners. We should also engage private financing. Though private financing may be a little higher in terms of interest rate, repayment period may not be that flexible, but resources are out there. And I'm sure working with the IMF and the World Bank, there's conversation as to how they can give us the kind of latitude to expand the space.
Public Works Minister Roland Ginnins. Back to this development, the much publicized December 17 Lead or Leave protest ended with a dramatic scene after state security officers prevented demonstrators from accessing the grounds of the executive mansion to present their petition. Here is a highlight of today's happening.
Brother, welcome to the press. We are seeing on your air of comfort. So tell us, how did you bring a comfort? Welcome to So you can listen to him. Let's see, there's another person with a 40. As you can see here, we have a 40 and this other guy is looking, actually carrying a bag of onion. There's a 40. So, man, you're just, why are you carrying this water?
voices of protesters during the protest earlier on today. Meanwhile, the lead organizer of the protest, the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day, is demanding the immediate and unconditional release of several individuals who were arrested during the protest. Still named at least 11 persons, it says, was unlawfully arrested and detained. The executive director of the National Commission on Higher Education has described research as the best way in resolving the many challenges facing Liberia. Dr. Cecilia Cassell noted that the other third world countries are succeeding in overcoming most of their challenges based on research. The executive director of the National Commission on Higher Education praised the Ministry of Education, that's Minister of Education, Dr. Jaso Jala, for encouraging the reach of a memorandum of understanding with 3 institutions in the country.
This is a great day for Liberia, and I'm happy to be a part of it. At the time, I just took over as the head of higher education, and we are here to sign MOU for higher education. We need you more than ever before. If you look around our higher education institutions, we need to groom our faculty because that's the only way we can get to where we want to be. And research is key in everything that we do. I always like to use Ghana as an example. I always say it's not magic they are performing. Ghanaians are researching into their problems. They are using the information they gather from the people who are living with problems to solve the problems. I think we can get there. So I'm happy that we are here this morning signing the MOU, and we are also talking about research. That is one way that we can help to solve our problems. If we go after the people who are living the problems to tell us what the problems are, then we can take it from the root to be able to solve the problem. And student exchange, faculty exchange is also good for us. We learn from you, you also learn from us, because I guess we have some unique things that you also want to learn. So I'm happy that we are signing this MOU at this time, that I will say, well, I was part of it when it's signed as the head of the commission. So I'm grateful, welcome, and I pray that we take it from this level and do actual practice, as Dr. Ase has said. He started already, and I want other institutions to join this. We have the private, we have the public. They are also, private institutions are also preparing people for our country. So I pray that we look beyond the public and also look at the private, because we are all preparing like great students.
Executive Director of the National Commission on Higher Education, Dr. Cecilia Cassell. A reminder, you're listening to King's News, Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories following tonight: no petition read, solidarity and trust for a new day, and much publicized lead or leave protest amidst tight security measures and no access to executive mansion. President of Liberia denounces self-styled Liberia Broadcasters Association organized Liberia Broadcast Awards, describes a group as illegitimate media body. President Joseph Boakai suspends National Commission on Disability Executive Director Samuel Den and Winifred Pay for mismanagement of the Commission's funds. Away from home, South Africa has accused the U.S. of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing applications by white South Africans for refugee status. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuelan, a move that Caracas has denounced as world-mongering threats. We'll take a break to be back with more voices. welcome back and thanks for being there. The National Identification Registry has developed what it called a 5-year strategic plan aimed at providing a clear vision in building a modern, secure, and citizen-centered national identification system in the country. Andrew Peters, executive director of the registry, said the strategic plan articulates the pillars and objectives of and focus in universal coverage, digital identification, modernization, governance, and institutional capacity.
As Liberia continues in its digital transformation journey, a strong and credible national ID system is no longer optional. It is a critical national infrastructure. The 5-year strategic plan we are here to validate is a product of extensive technical analysis, institutional self-assessment, broad shareholder engagement, and reflections of collective experiences, lessons learned, and from year of implementation to the date, in alignment with national development priority, including the arrest agenda for inclusive development, digital governance reform, regional and international best practice in identity management. This strategic plan is set as a clear vision to build a modern, secure, interoperability, and citizen-centered national identity system. It articulates strategic pillars and objectives focused on unified coverage, digital eco-modernization, governance and institutional capacity strengthening, sustainable financing and partnership. Importantly, it places citizens at the center, ensuring inclusion, data protection, privacy, and trust as a core principle guiding our interventions. Today's validation workshop is therefore a critical milestone. It provides an opportunity for you as a key stakeholder and partners to review the proposed strategic direction, interrogate the assumption, test the feasibility of targeted issues, and ensure that the plan is realistic, implementable, responsive to the needs of Liberians. Your insight and recommendations will strengthen the document and enhance national ownership. I wish to emphasize that this strategic plan is not just intended for an NIR document. It is a national framework that requires strong collaboration across government, ministries, and agencies, sustained political support, active private sector engagement, and continual partnership with our development partners. Effective identification systems flourish on coordination, interoperability, trust, and these can only be achieved through collective actions.
A pro-democracy organization, the Youth Alliance for Responsible Governance, has called on the Liberian Senate now to concord with the bill proposed by the House of Representatives seeking the establishment of 14 electoral districts in the country. The chairman of the group, David Chie, claimed that it is the constitutional responsibility of the National Elections Commission to demarcate districts immediately after a national census.
Youth Alliance for Responsible Governance urges the Liberian Senate to decline concurrence on the creation of 14 additional legislative seats proposed by the House of Representatives. Even more troubling is that this consequential decision was taken without broad citizens' consultation, transparency, or national consensus. We unequivocally characterize this action as undemocratic and a blatant affront to the people's sovereignty. So we are saying to them, you cannot pass this bill without reaching out to your employers. This is undemocratic and an affront to all the Liberian people. It is therefore unfathomable that lawmakers, soon custodians of the law, who disregard the doctrine of the separation of powers by usurping functions constitutionally assigned to another organ of government. This action is in direct contravention of Article 80E of the 1986 Liberian Constitution, which states, immediately following a national census and before the next election, the Elections Commission shall reapportion the constituencies in accordance with the new population figures. That is translated as in, after you shall have had a census, as it was held in 2022, immediately after the census, the national elections is compulsory, is mandatory in the Constitution, disaggregate them, and do redistricting and reapportionment. The National Elections Commission, not the legislature. And it says not only so, but you should do that in a constitutional time frame before the next election. When was the next election? The legislature had a chance to have gone to the election commission and said, you have to go about redistricting based on the new figure, because let's just submitted a report to them of the 5.2 million plus people who are in Liberia. They had the data in their possession. Why couldn't they reach out to the NEC? But they went and sat down, idly by, and waited for this time. The constitutional time frame has elapsed, so that even right now, the constitutionally mandated organ of government, the NEC, does not have that power, does not have the authority as provided by law to carry out any form of redistricting. It's not possible.
David Chid is the chairman of the Youth Alliance for Responsible Governance. Bon County District 5 Representative Eugene Colley has assured residents of Swakoko of a thorough and transparent investigation into the death of Madam Quita Johnson, who was reportedly missing and later found dead.
Question never pulling on a part. Itu leadership na commissioner I call leadership da okay. Jawab aja. Kat here again. So in order that justice prevail, this is the remedy we are trying to form. Therefore, we also need all of you guys' expertise. We need you guys' expertise in the process. We need you guys' help in the process. We want you to go in every look electronic of the town to get information. Manda, 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 dance away too. Manda, when I see any result from history, when I'm dressed away too.
Residents of Swakoko and Bon County District 5 Representative Eugene Colley. Away from home, South Africa has accused the U.S. of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing applications by white South Africans for refugee status. 7 Kenyans were arrested after intelligence reports revealed that people had recently entered South Africa on tourist visas and had illegally taken up work at the center, said a statement from South Africa's Department of Home Affairs. The BBC has approached the U.S. Department for comment. While the U.S. is trying to reduce overall levels of migration, it says that members of South Africa's white Afrikaner community can get asylum because they face prosecution, a claim South Africa's government strongly rejects. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. No petition read Solidarity and Trust for a New Day ends much publicized Lead or Leave protest amid tight security measures and no access to executive mansion. President of Liberia denounces self-styled Liberia Broadcasters Association organized Liberia Broadcast Awards, describes the group as illegitimate media body. You also heard in the news, President Joseph Boakai suspends National Commission on Disability Executive Director Samuel Den and Winifred paid for mismanagement of the commission funds. Away from home, South Africa has accused the U.S. of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing applications by white South Africans for refugee status. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving the Venezuela, a move that Caracas has denounced as warmongering threats. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who help in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Sam Andrews brought you the news bulletin. Newton Togba sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemon there. I present their thanks for listening and watching.